Kevin, action?
Yep.
Okay.
So, Marton, tell me a little bit about your life. You were born in Mexico?
Yeah, I was born in Mexico City in 1929. I do want to go through that
Yes.
thing. And my mother took us back to Budapest because she's from there. My father is from the Ukraine, a town called Munkac. And I don't know the reason why my mother took us there back, but I think I was maybe 3 or 4 years old when we went back, and so I actually grew up and I learned Hungarian, which is supposed to be my mother language, but I forgot to speak it because I haven't spoken since I left Hungary in 1945 or 46, can't remember exactly. So after the war, we suffered a lot during the Nazis. I was in a ghetto, and they treated us bad, you know, and they took us. First of all, they got all the Jewish people to big place, and they separated the men from the women, and the men assigned jobs like digging ditches close to Budapest, and they put in cement blocks. They thought they could stop the Russian tanks. So that was our first job, and then they took us back to the ghetto, and one time they took us to a factory where we're making bombs. So I worked on that as much as I could, and I've been quite a few Zionists in the group that I was, and they wanted to do something to the bombs, so they want to explode. And maybe they did, I don't know. I never did anything like that. And I was too young. When I was in 43, 44, 14, 15 years old, and I led a very sheltered religious life. So I don't know, worldwide, I was an ignoramus. Maybe I'm still am, you know, who knows. But yes, so we did that, and then sometimes when they bombed, I don't know who bombed us, the Russians or the Americans, but they destroyed a bunch of houses, and our job was to go up on those destroyed houses and pull down the debris. It was a very dangerous job because you know, you just no equipment or anything, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember those things, and so we did that, and they didn't care if it was a raid, you know, when when the airplanes come, they usually sound a siren, you know, and they ignored it completely, and when the bombs fall, it's the shrapnels that do you most of the hurt, you know. So we were out on one of those houses to clean up, you know, and the siren sound, but they made us work, and so to me, a bomb fell next to us. Me and my brother were together, and fell. I looked at it, unbelievable, but that's exactly what happened. And it bumped out and then exploded. I don't think I was further away than the tree where the bomb fell, And my brother was shoved into this place, and I was just flattened down. I just fell down. But other people, they lost a leg and all kind of terrible injuries. They suffered, and so after that was over, we went to the Red Cross to get, because my face was full of blood, and they refused to give you service. I mentioned that because everybody thinks that the Red Cross, and I do believe that they do good, but I sure didn't do it for me. And I think I should say that, and so finally we found a doctor. Jewish doctors couldn't practice at that time, but we found a doctor who did take care of me. And I got one on my head and just put some staples on it, and I still have a piece in my ear. Keep it as a reminder.
A souvenir.
I have it. I don't know. You touched it before, and so that was that. And then we went back to the ghetto, and luckily there was a young man who spoke Russian, and he spoke also. He was from the Ukraine, I think, and also spoke German. And we sat down, me, my brother, and this young man, and he said, we should leave. It was coming to the end of the war, where everybody thought that they will kill us or send us to Auschwitz, because that's where most of the Jews were deported. And then we had to make up our mind whether to take a chance and try to escape or wait for whatever will happen. Unknown to us, my brother and I, my mother and my sister, and I don't remember, one of my aunts was taken to Auschwitz. But I had another aunt and my grandmother, and somehow they were able to go to a Swiss safe house. I don't know how we found out about it, but it happened that finally we decided to leave. So we polished all shoes, combed my hair, and cleaned up. And this guy marched us like we were Germans out the door. They were Hungarian Nazis, and he talked to them, very seriously in German. They probably didn't speak German, and we just walked out. And we wound up at the same safe house where my mother and grandmother were. So we lived there for about a month, maybe. I don't know how I don't remember what did we ate, where the food came, but we were there about a month when rumors started again, and they were taking people out of the safe house, and they walked them down to the room, and they just, what do you call that, machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
Machine gun them down, and unfortunately, I realized that one of those people was my first and only girlfriend. So she perished there, and I never saw her again. Her name was Alice Shaw. I remember her name. And she was beautiful. But anyway, soon after that, the Russians came in, and I don't think they were real Russians. They had Mongol faces, you know, and they were terrible. They raped and steal and all sorts of terrible things. It was like back with the Germans, you know, when they came in. But afterwards, the army came in, and in the army there were some Jewish officers, and they somehow arranged us an apartment, and we lived there. But it wasn't any good, you know, because we didn't have any food. They gave us some black bread or some kind of soup, and so me and my brother decided to go away from Budapest and see if we can find some food in the country. Well, it wasn't to be, because we passed the Romanian frontier, and we didn't have any documentation. I had my birth certificate from Mexico, so did my brother, but they still put us in jail, and we were in jail without any representation for 6 months. And thinking back to the States. And then finally, after 6 months, we both, my brother was 3 years older than I was, but we had the same professor, math professor. His name was Boros, Professor Boros. And somehow he got wind that we were there, you know, with all those criminals. They never bothered us, you know. They say so many bad things about those guys, but I can't say anything bad about them. Oh. And so, and so arranged us to leave.
Can we summarize the last part just for sake of time?
Okay.
What were some of the places you went to before you ended up back in Mexico? Just the names. Yeah. Do you need any water?
No.
No? Okay.
Sure.
You just got a little something there.
Okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. He's all right.
Well, after a while, I left Hungary. First, I went to Germany. No, first I went to. I went back to the Ukraine, trying to find my father's relatives. Then there was only one person left of the whole family, and then from there, that's coming back from Romania. Then I went to Czechoslovakia, because there were no Mexican consulates, and they told me go to the Swiss consulate. So I went there, and they couldn't help me at that time, but they told me there is a transport going to Germany, and my chances would be better if I go to Germany. So I went to Germany, and after Germany, we sneaked into to France, where they put me in jail again for a few days, but then the Jewish people had a representative, and we were able to get some help. And then from there, my uncle who lived in New York arranged me to, I think he sent me a plane ticket. While I was in France, I got my Mexican passport, and they flew me to Cuba, where I was retained again, another jail, until my plane came and then I got to Mexico.
Okay.
And now I'm here.
And now you're here.
Legally. By the way, I went to the Mexican army just to comply with all those requirements from the American government, you know, because they wouldn't believe me that I was Mexican. And I told them I was born in Mexico. I doesn't have to be from Hungarian parents, you know. But what's so strange about it, I couldn't understand.
A blue-eyed Mexican. No one's ever seen that.
So.
Okay, how did you come to live in Las Vegas?
Well, first I lived in New York City. I lived in New York City from Mexico City, and then my mother was already there, and my sister, who was married at the time, and I lived with them. And then I couldn't find a job really. Well, I found a job, paid $1 an hour, and then I also had a Puerto Rican friend who suggested that we should go to Puerto Rico and establish a small factory. So that's what I did. I went to Puerto Rico, but the business failed. I don't want to get into war and how. So I came back to New York, and then my brother told me that why don't I go up to California. So I took a bus and I went to California. That's how I got to California.
And when did you come to Las Vegas?
Oh, I lived and worked in California for 40-some years, and then it was time to retire. The place where I worked, the last place I worked 27 years, went bankrupt, and then me and my wife decided to come to Las Vegas to retire, because at that time everything was cheap. Not now, naturally, but at that time it was an easy living for a retired person. You know, I was then old. I was over 70 years old. You know, and so that's how I came to Las Vegas.
Okay.
But I found a good friend.